Welcome to the Crafty View. I'm Diane Williams. I'm the host for the show. And today we are in one of the craft members' studio. And this person's name is Winki Allen. Hello, Winki.
Hello, Diane.
Oh, I see your studio. Well, if you can turn the camera on you so that people can see you for just a few minutes.
Okay.
So we're in her studio, and this is such an opportunity and a pleasure to see the workspace of artists. Winki, what have you been doing today?
Well, today I have been working in the garden. I have been fertilizing my indigo and dye plants because I have a workshop coming up this weekend.
That is great. So you really use natural elements to create your designs and to work with your dyes.
I do.
What is your art form?
My art form is surface design, but know also that I am a weaver. I'm a fellow in surface design and weaving with the Craftsmen's Guild of Mississippi.
How long have you been with them?
Since 1979.
So you're a fellow member.
I am.
Excellent, excellent, which means you don't have to adjudicate again. You're a fellow or a master in your art form. And I always think about artists that just go that extra mile to learn about the elements that they're using. And that's what you've done. So you've told me how long you've been a member, but tell me what got you started doing what you do as far as the surface design.
Well, I can tell you that it really began when I was a child. My grandmother tatted and crocheted, and she taught me when I was 12 years old to do those crafts. My family were gardeners, and as a child, I worked in the garden with my family. I was kind of a Thumbelina child in the way that I love to be outside. I love to be among plants. I love to search the plants for insects that thrive off those plants. I enjoy nurturing and growing plants, and I grow almost all of my own dye plants here in my garden at Dollar Lake.
How does one learn about which plants will yield that won't be resistant and will yield some coloration to a surface?
Well, I learned a lot of that from workshops, but I also took the Mississippi State University Master Gardener classes. So I'm a Master Gardener through Mississippi State, and that's enabled me to be able to seek out and grow the plants that are sustainable for natural dyeing. I also have a lot of communications with friends and teachers that I've taken workshops with so that I can build on those. You know, I'm a lifelong learner, and I think that's important in the way that I grow my craft.
Excellent, excellent. And as it relates to your weaving, do you use any dyes in your weaving as well?
I do, and I'm not primarily weaving now, but when I weave, the yarns that I use are yarns that I have also naturally dyed.
Okay, do you use any natural yarns? You know, we have so many members of the guild who actually spin yarn.
I do spin, and I only use natural yarns, but I do purchase some of mine because I use a lot of silk and cottons. And right now I'm not spinning cotton.
I love the hand-dyed silk. I do some crocheting, and I also incorporate it in my mixed media fiber. So, and then I love to support those that are, you know, they get the wool from the sheep and they card the wool and clean it and card it and all of those wonderful things. Yes. So let's talk a little bit about today about what you have in your studio. We are in your studio. I guess Jackson or Madison,
Uh,
Mississippi?
Actually, I'm in Enterprise, which is south of Meridian.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, we've been here um, about 30 years.
Okay, so take us around your studio and start wherever you'd like. I noticed that when you first came on, you were at like a desk area.
Yes, I'm going to reverse the camera so I can give you a view of all of the studio. This is my workspace where I come to prepare my dies. I've got some things laid out here for a workshop that I'm doing this weekend with indigo. I've got henna powder, so I'll make a henna vat for the students that are coming. I recently did an indigo dye bath with leaves, and I cut off some of the tops of those leaves and have them rooting here, and they actually have small indigo seeds growing on those. But I used these leaves and processed them in the blender for a cold water dye bath that makes a beautiful light blue. But this is my studio. This is where I work every day. I have one of the Craftsmen Guild posters here because that's so dear to me.
You
And
have
these
a
are some
teapot.
I do. I have two that I heat water in for the indigo vats and for the natural dyes. And I have a stock of coconut shampoo because I use that for the silks. The coconut shampoo is very gentle on the silk fabrics, and it doesn't harden the feel of the silks. It's this is my workspace when I'm actually laying out the silks. These are some of my silks. Some of the dyes, flowers that I use, marigolds of various kinds. This is a blanket flower that makes a beautiful flower image on the silks. Sassafras leaves, ginkgo leaves, eucalyptus leaves. This is a piece of a weld plant, and the weld is what gives me yellow.
Oh.
Like the yellow on this piece. The reds come from madder, which is a root dye, and I grow madder in my garden. I wish we could go out and see the garden too.
Where do you find your silks?
I order them online, actually, from Dharma Trading Company and from Thai Silks in California. So I buy them in bulk now. When I started out, I would buy some silk fabrics, and I still use a lot of silk fabrics because I make tops and some jackets.
Do you have to finish the edges of your scarves, or do they come ordered that way?
They come finished, and I can choose the finish that I want if I want them hand hemmed or machine hemmed. And I like purchasing the hand hemmed scarves. But now, every now and then, I'll use some of the hand hemmed.
And do you always get the same color? Would it be white? How do you order it by way of color?
I always get the natural white silk.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has to be processed. You know, it has to be washed 2 or 3 times with Centropol to get all the gumming out of the silk. It has to be scoured. So you bring it up to almost to a boil with some detergent in it to boil out any extra gum or dirt in the silk. And then it has to be rinsed. And after you rinse it, then it has to be mortared. And I use primarily alum, and not the store-bought alum, but aluminum sulfate for mortaring my silks for the natural dyes. And that helps sustain the color and hold the color in the fabric and keep it from fading.
Well, you know, your designs are so beautiful, and I can't imagine all that you go through in the pre-process, that they still have that beautiful, silky, wonderful essence to them.
I really, really am very careful in the way that I process it. So I am able to keep that. And of course, using those coconut shampoos and conditioners will keep that. Will keep the silk soft, and using vinegar will help maintain the natural colors and keep those colors bright. So you use a little vinegar in the final rinse. Even silks that you buy can benefit from being washed with a coconut shampoo and using a little vinegar in the rinse.
Oh, very interesting. Sounds like a lot of work too. But I don't know about other people, but I personally love to contact you and learn more about how to dye fabrics and the things that you use. What are your basic, not tools, but as far as dyes and mixtures that solidify or hold the color? You know what I'm trying to say?
I do. The primary dyes that I use are madder, weld, and indigo. Those are the colors that, you think about color and painting. Those are your three primary colors. And you can blend those to get other colors. So I will use weld, which is yellow, and madder, which is red, blend those together to get oranges, like the orange that I showed you earlier. And you can do variants, amounts of each of those to vary whether you want a yellow orange or a red orange.
What sustains the color in the fabric? Do you need anything to sustain it?
The mordant that I was talking about, that's what a mordant is. The mordant attaches to the fabric. The alum that I use attaches to the silk, and then the color, the dyes attached to that mordant, and it's held in the silk. If I didn't mordant the silk, the color would just wash out of it.
Mm-hmm. I'd love to see some of your design, some of your scarves.
Okay, you want to see some now?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that one of your own that you have on your neck?
Oh, it is. And this was dyed with logwood, which is a purple dye that I use sometimes. Let's get this color on here for you. And I'm going to try to turn the camera around so that I can show you this. This is a madder dye. It's an exhaust dye, so it's more of a pink than a red. And this is on a silk that I bought from Thai Silks. You can see the leaf print on this. The little dots here are from the sourwood tree. Those are sourwood blooms. The pink, I want to show you. This is coreopsis. This is the flower that I showed you a minute ago. One of the little coreopsis flowers.
Wow.
On the silk. And this is a sourwood leaf like this. And they grow on the rolling hills in this area of Mississippi.
So what is the process? That last leaf that you showed us, what's the process to get that leaf image to stay on that fabric?
Well, the process begins with cleaning the silk, like I talked to you about earlier. It has to be cleaned and then scoured, which is just below a boil, and then it's dyed. After the silk is dyed, I lay the silk out on this table that I have these new pieces on, and lay the leaves on top, and the silk is dipped in a vinegar water. Sometimes I use a little mordant in that water to help hold the color of the leaves. Lay it out on this table, place the leaves in the order that I want them on the silks, and then I bundle so the color transfers from the leaf to the fabric. And of course, you know, those colors are not like. This leaf was actually green when I put it on this piece. And then after steaming and it dries, it comes out a gold color, a dried silky feel to it. But the print is black. And so you have to experiment with your leaves, determine what color you want to bring. Sometimes they bring different.
We're breaking up just a little bit.
It's probably because of the weather
The
here.
weather, yes.
I'm sorry.
But that's okay. We've gotten pretty much the essence of that. I think these are fabulous. I cannot imagine getting ready for a show like the Chimneyville show and the work that would go into creating these scarves. But I've seen your exhibit space, which is always so beautiful with scarves galore.
Thank you. I will say that this is something that I work on all year long. I can't really stop the process because I love to do it. But it takes me a year of growing the dyes and dyeing the silks and then doing the printing to be able to get ready for a show. And there are only 2 shows that I do each year, and our Chimneyville is my major show.
Okay, you told me you were getting ready for a class to do some teaching.
I am.
So you're preserving this art form by teaching others. Tell us about the class and about, you know, if there's anything about your students that you'd like to share.
Well, the class is actually an indigo class because I do a lot of indigo dyeing. And it is different than my natural dyes with the silks and the botanical printing. I usually don't do botanical printing on the indigo. I learned indigo years ago. I've taken classes with John Marshall and classes with several others. Mary Frances Davidson was my first dye class teacher at Airmont in 1979. And since then, I've studied with Judy Simmons and Catherine Ellis. And Catherine Ellis is a renowned writer now who does a lot of work with a textile chemist and writing books for new dyers. And I have a young woman that's going to come work with me. I'm going to mentor her. She's a student from Mississippi State that I worked with years ago. And I'm going to pull out the Ellis book and teach her how to be able to use that in her home in West Mississippi, where she has just recently moved back to.
That's a 555 West Mississippi, yes. So what else would you like to share about your studio? Do you have tubs like that you put the fabric down in the, I noticed something behind you and I didn't know if those were vats or.
Actually, I've got fabric behind me here, but I do have, let me turn this around so I can show you. These are the tubs that I use to make indigo vats in, a 7-gallon and a 5-gallon vat. And I've got about 4 more stored around there. I've got, these are actually plastic pipes from Sam's. I've got 2 of these in another size that I use to lay cotton scarves on. And I wrap yarn around this on top of the scarves with a fine thread, and where the thread is, it resists the indigo, so that I can make patterns in scarves that I sell.
Wonderful.
Got a blender for processing the indigo. I've got the coffee pots to boil the water to make that. I'm pretty set up really well here. I'm very fortunate, and my husband can't help build this studio and build these counters for me so that I could do this.
That is great. I'm having to plug in my computer so it wouldn't die. Sorry about that.
It is okay.
So what does your husband think of all of this? And the second part of that question is, where is your studio located in retrospect to your home? Is this like your garage or a separate area?
It is a building. It is a small building. He built a deck on the outside for me where I do put the steamers. And it's just outside my back door and up the hill by the road. I mean, it's just several yards away from the house.
Wonderful. So he must appreciate what you do if he built this for you.
Oh, he does. He does. And he's a wonderful potter too, but he took his time to do this so that I could continue to do this work.
Well, this is fabulous. And I'm so glad that you're teaching others how to do it and bringing them in. I think that's just great. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience?
Well, I think I didn't share with them that the young woman that I'm going to be teaching is Brittany Dowell. And I'm really looking forward to watching her grow. She is already a textile artist, but I think it's important for all of us as we get older to recognize the young people that are really interested in this and start mentoring them so that they can grow these art crafts forward in their very own way.
That's right. That's right. And have you ever done any, for lack of a better term, funky patterns? I noticed you said that you lay something on that barrel and then tie string around it or something. But have you ever explored any other designs?
I have, and I sometimes I use tiles. I have a lot of tiles like these that I use in an immersion pot, and I save aluminum cans and lids like these.
Oh,
to make patterns. They will make striped patterns on the silk. So I'm always looking for different things to enhance them. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But you learn that way.
that's right. It's worthy of the exploration. And who knows, you may set a new trend or a new style that people would be interested in.
True.
If someone wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that? Would they contact the guild, or do you have social media, email, website?
I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Winki Allen or winky.allen.silks. They could also contact the guild.
Okay, wonderful. And your email address?
My email address is wkallen1968@att.net.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Winki. And I hope to get a chance to interview your husband. I believe he's a member of the guild as well, isn't he?
He is, and he's looking forward to that. Thank you so much, Diane, for what you're doing.
Oh, you're welcome. I just love artists, you know. I just love all that you all do. And so, and I know the audience does as well. So thank you. And we will be talking to you again sometime soon.
I look forward to it. Thank you.